Good morning, everybody. We are here with Paulette, and she's going to be doing another one of her fabulous videos. We're a little cramped today, so I'm sorry, and that's probably not going to change. Paulette's little bit of space is shrinking even more, but that's okay. She's happy. So go ahead and take it away, Paulette.
Okay, today we're doing a little scrappy quilt out of your stash that I call variegated yarn, because the little blocks to me look like variegated yarn. So all kinds of, different colors put together, and just little bits of it showing within the block. So this one has a light background, and this one I've got a dark background. So you can do it either way.
Yeah,
it still looks really good.
Yeah.
So we're using 2.5 inch strips again. And so what you need is something that's 9.5 inches long. So as long as it contrasts with your background, because these scraps are touching the background all around. So this one is not the best choice, but a bit of it is not so bad. So 9.5 inches by 2.5 inches.
Okay.
So you're going to...
So you can use leftover jelly rolls or cut your own from your scraps or whatever.
Or binding, leftover binding can even work if you cut it 2.5. So you need just a variety of those. So what you're going to do is you're going to sew 2 of them together. So you're going to pair them up. It doesn't matter what is next to what. I have quite a few here that are just, all kinds of different things put together.
Oh my God, I love looking at these samples that she pulls up, because it's like, I remember that fabric. Oh my goodness.
Yes, this one is a little bit older than this one. Is brand new because I just bought this blue fabric. So, that the pattern just works for everything. So you're going to sew 2 of your strips together, and then you're going to, and for each block, this is a little, I don't know if you can see that there.
Yep, we got her.
This is the block that you're making. So you're actually going to end up with 8 different fabrics within that block. And so you need 4 sets of 2. And it's actually going to make 2 blocks.
Okay.
So we'll be okay. So we have...
how big is the finished block?
Finished block is 8.5 inches. Well, 8 inches finished.
Yeah, 8.5 including your seam allowances.
Yes, 8 inches finished, right. So you're going to sew these bits together. And then once you get that, here is the fun part. We are cutting for these connector corners here, 4-inch circles.
Squares.
I mean squares. I'm looking at circles on the back of this fabric. So 4 inches. And when you sew your 2 strips together, you end up with 4.5 inches. So when you put your corners on here, you're actually going to be putting one in the lower left-hand corner. So you're going to line up that there and pin that. There's going to be a 1/2 inch there. That's fine. This one, 1/2 inch. This one's in the upper right-hand corner. Okay. And the diagonals are both going from left to right. So the diagonals are both going this way, and these corners are tucked up here.
Okay. This looks very strange. And this is actually going to work.
This is going to work. So here it is sewn with a nice red thread so you can notice it. And what you're going to do, of course, is you're going to be ironing that back up that way, and this one back this way.
Now, do you trim away all of this, or do you?
Totally do. That's the next little sample here. So, what I do with them once they're like that is I actually sew a second seam on towards the corner.
A 1/4 inch?
Keep this part. Well, mine is actually less than 1/2 inch. So both of these are actually a little bit scant.
Okay.
But it's cut to the perfect size. So it comes out perfect. It's 4.5 inches. And this little one that's not quite an inch, a quarter of an inch, has nice small stitches, so I have no fear that it's not going to work.
Okay, so what is the point of sewing that second line?
Okay, so we do that second line, and what I'm going to do is cut this off. Where's the one? Here's the one with the second line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this one I'm cutting between these two sewn lines.
Okay.
And I'm going to end up with all these pieces that I've cut off there. And because this is a 4-inch square, it's quite a big cutoff you have. But
oh my gosh, look at, oh my God, it's
actually
magic. Look at that. She's got a
Yes.
half square triangle.
And I've got them, lots of them. So you can still put these together into something else. You might
Very clever. So this line here, this is your stitching line.
Yes.
And then this one is your second stitching line.
Yeah.
And it's like at about a 3/8 inch or a quarter inch?
I mean,
or
you
no,
can
not
do
a
half
quarter.
an inch. You can do half an inch so that you have a 1/4 inch on each side. But I feel like if I just make it a little bit more scant than a half an inch, I get a bigger cutoff. And then
Okay.
it's more usable because it's
Right.
a bigger piece. I would have to trim these all to make sure they're exactly the same size.
Yeah.
Because they're not necessarily, because I'm eyeballing this one, I'm not really drawing that second line.
Yeah.
I'm just going, a distance.
Yeah,
from
so you
the
still
edge
got
of
to
the
square
precipice.
your half squares.
Yeah.
But the one that you're actually making for this project will be the size it's supposed to be.
It's just this, yes. This is going to be ironed over, and then you're going to, so I'm going to do that now. Pretend we're ironing this.
We don't have room to set the iron up, so we're going to
No.
pretend that she had the iron.
Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is cut off my extra parts here. So I am going to cut, between these two seams here. So that's my cutoff. That's going to be the extra
A future
piece.
project.
A future. I know we're using up scraps and we're
Making more.
scraps. Yeah, that's how it works. So I just kind of eyeball the center there and cut that. And now I have the piece that I need. So it's going to look like this.
Okay.
So you're going to press this towards the corner.
Right.
So I'm just pressing with my fingers here.
Okay.
So that one's not so much. Now if you feel that you haven't got your edges quite exactly right, and I didn't mention that, but when you sew these pieces together, you don't have to cut them exactly 9.5. If they're 10, if they're 10.5, it's perfectly fine.
Just not smaller than 9.5.
Not smaller than 9.5.
Okay.
And like this one here, I still have a raw edge on the outside here because I haven't trimmed this.
Yeah.
Because I do want those two edges to be very straight because I'm going to put this square on here and I need that to sit nice and straight. So now I have a piece that looks like this. And what I'm going to do is take a ruler and I'm going to cut a 4.5 inch square. So here's my 4.5, and so 4.5 this way and 4.5 this way, and you can see there's that little 1/2 inch extra. So I'm going to do that on this side, and then I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to do it on, going to do it on this side as well. 4.5. So 4.5 along the edge, 4.5 there. And you're going to have a little piece in the middle. So mathematically, you could have done this with a 9-inch piece. But I think it's too fiddly these would be touching each other.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, if I can give myself a little bit of wiggle room, I just am more comfortable doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
So now what you have is two pieces out of this 2 strips that we sewed together, and they look quite different because this one, the long one, is the yellow and the other little print is the small piece, and on this one it's like this.
Okay.
So what I do is I make a whole bunch of these and I keep one and I throw the other one in my pile, and so I just only use one and then I use another one from there. You could use these both in the same block, but I think it, you know, it just looks more scrappy if the same fabric, you don't repeat the same fabric within a block. So you need to, you know, just, it's more scrappy if you actually.
That's a little bit more interesting, and because you're working with scraps, you don't know what fabric you're going to actually have. You might only have one piece piece that's 8.5 inches. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So this little quilt here that I did, oh, sorry.
There you go.
This is the stack of secondary pieces. They're all cut and ready to go because I just showed you how to cut them.
Yeah.
So these are the ones I didn't use. So this one here with the polka dots, right, it belongs up there. So this would have been the other side of that one when I cut. So I have this pile to work with and make more blocks because this quilt is going to get bigger. So you're half done almost when you get to this point. So you're going to pick 4 of your little units that you made here, and from there on it's pretty simple. So we need to have our background outside on the points, and so you can just put your 4 pieces together, pick any 4, move them around, whatever you think. The nice thing is there's no seams to match anywhere here. The only thing we're going to match is the very center of that block there.
Yeah.
So you're going to sew these together, and when you sew these together, press towards this side that has no seam in it. So press towards that side, press towards that side, and then I actually did press my last seam open. But you could press it either direction because in between these blocks of variegated yarn, you have got 8.5 inch pieces of background. So now no seam matching anywhere here. That's just a straight piece.
Yep.
So the nice thing is, you know, very little matching of any seams. So this is variegated yarn. You need, for the center of this big quilt, which is 68 by 84, but of course you can make it as small or as big as you like. I needed 3 meters of this background fabric to make this big quilt. I did add a little bit of an interesting border. I just thought it would be kind of fun to have a mix of colors on the outside to kind of go with my colors on the inside.
Love the way that you did that border where you've got the break.
Yeah, it's just a little bit different. Yeah, on the bottom too. So it's just a little bit different.
And do you have those instructions in your pattern?
I do not.
Oh, I shouldn't ask that. How can you tell we don't practice before we do this?
No.
Okay.
So you just so 3 meters will make the center of this quilt. So if you do want to add these borders on the outside, you'd need a little bit extra.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
It's called variegated yarn. It's just 2.5 inch strips by 9.5. And for every 8 of those, you're going to be able to make 2 blocks. And you're going to have all these nice little cut-off pieces to play with.
That was impressive.
To play with for another project. And you could even use these like just to make a pinwheel or something. Yeah. Because you've got a dark side and a lighter side.
Wow. That was impressive. So, and it looks like the variegated yarn. And this is her collection of variegated yarn. Now, which one came from the new wool store in town?
Oh, this one.
So this is from the new one. It's called, what is it?
Stitches and Skeins.
Stitches and Skeins. And it's over by Josie's Hair Salon across from Independent Foods on Trunk Hill Road.
Yep. And
Stitches and Skeins.
I made a toque out of that already. So.
Of course you did. Somewhere between, like 10 o'clock at night and 4 in the morning. And her daughter or daughter-in-law?
My daughter-in-law. Yes.
Amanda. This is amazing. She made the yarn bowl where you can you pull the yarn out through here. I'm trying to get my finger in there. Yeah, so it's all nice and smooth and you don't have the ball of yarn running across the living room floor. Right. Ask me how I know that. Absolutely gorgeous. Very well done, Paulette. I love this one. Love it.
Great.
Okay, so we're going to say goodbye, and there's no more new YouTube video until January because we're very busy. Okay, we're busy eating and visiting and all that good stuff. So, okay, have a very Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see you all in January. Bells on your toes. Bye-bye.
Bye.